Welcome to the November episode of The Library Show. It's a great time of year. Thanksgiving, of course, is the dominant holiday this month. And we are very thankful for the wonderful programs at our libraries. They give us a cultural smorgasbord of things for children, for adults, for the whole family. On November 13th, there will be a marvelous concert, which is literally for the whole family. It is going to be at the Levering Mill Tribute House, and it's sponsored by Bala Library. I can vouch for this because I have actually heard the musician who will be playing an instrument, and her name is Bridget Kibbe, and she plays a beautiful harp. And the whole program will be oriented towards families who are attending. So keep that in mind, 2 p.m., November 13th. Now let's focus on what's going to be in our libraries. We have the great pleasure of having with us again, Danielle Gowen. Danielle is the children's librarian at Penn Wynne. And Danielle, I asked you on because you have so many children's activities going on this month. I thought, surely people out there who are thinking, what can I do with my child of whatever age at the library? What's going on? I'll let you start with whatever one you'd like to start with first.
Okay, yeah, we do have quite a lot going on in November for all ages. One of the first things that we have for the month actually goes on the entire month. So it's going to start at the beginning and it's going to go the whole month. It's called Dino-Vember. And that means November is for dinosaurs. So all month long, there are just fun dinosaur activities. You don't have to register for anything. It's all going on in the library. You just come in at any time. One of the things that we do is, this is Dewey, Dewey the dinosaur. Dewey the dinosaur hides in the library in a different place every single day. And she's got a little sign that says, "Yeah, you found me, but don't move me." You find Dewey, come up to the desk, say where she is, and you get a prize. And then she moves to a different spot the next day. So you can play every day if you want to. The other thing that's going to be dinosaur related in the library is every day there's going to be these dinosaur eggs in the library. And you can find one and either take it home, or you can open it up at the library and find the dinosaur inside the egg and take the dinosaur home with you.
Oh, that is very
So that's
cool.
something that'll be every day also. And you can just come in at any time and look for Dewey and look for the eggs. And there'll also be dinosaur crafts and games going on just throughout the library all month long.
My guess is that you've made quite a lot of those dinosaur eggs to last the entire month with all the children who come to your library to Penn Wynne.
I've made 60 so far. Okay. And that was just yesterday. I just started yesterday and I made 60 yesterday. I still have more to make.
Okay, well, that sounds like fun. And I would guess that that's probably 5th grade and younger, or it's not limited. It's just whatever the child wants to do, I gather.
Correct. Yes. So anybody can find the dinosaur. Anybody can find the eggs.
Okay. And what else is going on?
So another thing that we have going on is we have Itty Bitty Book Club. And that is for kindergarten through 2nd grade. And we read a book together, usually a picture book. We talk a little bit about it. I'll ask some questions. I'll ask some things that they thought about the book, and then we'll do a craft based on the book. And that's the first Monday of every month.
So this is a little bit different than story time, because story time, the kids are a little more passive, and this is encouraging them to be active participants in the process.
Right. And it's an older age than story time. This is for kindergarten through 2nd grade. And the kids are reading. I pick a book that we can read together that they can help read along with if they want to. And then there's a fun craft afterwards.
So
that's Itty Bitty Book Club.
What amount of time does that take?
It takes an hour.
It's an hour.
It's from 5:30 until 6:30.
And do parents leave their children, or do they stay in the background and remain?
So if they want to stay in the room, they can, but LMLS policy is any child that's under 10 years old that's in the library, a caregiver has to remain in the building. So they don't have to stay in the room if they don't want to, but they have to stay in the building.
Okay. And is there a sign up for that, or just show up?
There is registration for that, and you can register for that on our website. You can either go to the calendar or you can find the link through Facebook.
Okay, so take a look at the Penn Wynne Library calendar, Facebook, website, all through LMLS, and I think people can enjoy being able to do that long distance. Is there any cost for that one because of the arts and crafts?
There is no cost for any of our programs.
Okay, And is there a deadline? In other words, you can only have it for so many kids, so therefore there's a deadline for registration?
So I open up registration for each event, usually about a week before the event, and registration is usually capped at 10 kids just for the space.
Okay. I'm going to ask because I know we have done some programs for kids, and if they're very, very popular, the library sometimes has the flexibility to double the program. But I don't know if Penn Wynne ever does that, or just save it for another month.
We haven't really needed to. If we have somebody on the wait list, it's usually only 1 or 2 kids, and I'll just let them in. I'll open up the wait list and let them in.
So it's a flexible 10.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What else do you have that's, let's see, what do you have for teenagers?
For teenagers, so the second Monday of every month, I just started this 2 months ago, is Teen Time. So we're going to do something different each month. Last month, we did a teen craft. We did luminaries. We had little glass jars that we glued leaves around and put little votive candles in and filled with things. And I just gave them the supplies and they just went at it and they decorated it whatever way that they wanted to. I asked them what they wanted to do for the next month coming up, and they said they wanted to do games. So I got a bunch of card games and board games, and I'm just going to put them out and let them play games with each other. It's just a nice time for teenagers to just come in and just hang out with their friends, and no grown-ups except for me. and just have the time to themselves, the room to themselves to have a good time.
You're doing not only a good deed because the teenagers are involved, but I've talked to Andrew Pelberg at Ludington, and he has a games club for adults. So you're preparing them to transition when they're older to be in the adult game club and play with board games and so forth. Wow, that is cool. Okay, and I know there are a couple more things.
Yes, so we do have a new program that we just put on the calendar that's not going to be on the LMLS calendar because it was just finalized this week, but we have a local author and psychologist. Her name is Amy Nearin, and she wrote a book called Nellie in Knots. And she is coming to read a little bit about her book and talk about anxiety in kids and some techniques and methods that parents and kids can use at home to help with that. So it's a discussion that encourages parents to come with their children to listen to part of this book and talk with Dr. Nearin about some anxiety techniques.
I was going to ask if children would be encouraged to come, and you said they would be. Will
Yes.
there be an opportunity for parents to kind of take Dr. Nearin aside and ask her a question without the child hearing that question, or it's not that kind of a thing?
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess that's always a possibility. As the crowd thins out, they can always take her aside and ask a question, I'm sure. Or, I mean, maybe the parent will choose to just come by themselves.
That's true, yes.
And
then they can take home the techniques and the things that Dr. Nearin mentions and do that with their children who are suffering from anxiety. Although, of course, adults can suffer from anxiety as well as children. So,
of course.
And then there's the ever popular Lego Club.
Lego Club, yes. So Lego Club is for all ages. I started out with that one being the younger kids, but then some of the older kids were like, well, I like Legos too. Can't I come? So now all ages can come, and it's just free Lego play. We have bins and bins of Legos that we just put out on the tables. Sometimes I give them a theme. Sometimes I give them a challenge, but most of the time the kids just want to build their own thing.
Wow. I went to a Legos exhibit. I don't remember if it was at the Natural History Museum a few years ago, where somebody had taken Legos and built monuments in the world. And they made the Grand Canyon, they made the Eiffel Tower, all kinds of things. And it was a great illustration of the fact that Legos are not limited to kids, that adults with imaginations can absolutely do it. And of course, you just need to have the dexterity with your fingers to be able to handle the little tiny things. I always like the thing of getting up in the middle of the night and having to when you step on the Legos. Not fun. But there are other things that are also not fun. Okay. And finally, Lit Loot. I never heard of this. What is Lit Loot, please?
So Lit Loot is for 6th through 12th grade. And what that is, it's literature and loot. So I have a QR code on the calendar, or they can go to our website and click on the link, and it takes them to a Google form that asks them a couple of questions about their interests, what they like to read. And based on those questions, I pick out 3 books for them that I think that they might like. And I put those aside in a bag, and the loot part is that they might get anything to go with it. Sometimes it's popcorn and snacks. Sometimes it's little like fidget poppets or, bookmarks, some candy, hot chocolate, the squishy things that the teens really like, those little squishy animals. So that's the loot part. That part they get to keep. The literature they have to return. But it's kind of like a reader's advisory for teenagers.
That sounds terrific. And that sounds like a program that you were doing during COVID when the libraries weren't open. People could call in and say, this is what I as an adult would like, or my child would like, and we could just come to the vestibule of each library and pick up a bag with our name, and it would have books in it. It was very cool. And this is a continuation. So I really like
right.
that.
This is ongoing.
Yeah. And
mm-hmm.
How can I say it? How many a week do you expect to produce? Do you have any idea?
Well, this has been going on. I started this when I started at Penn Wynne last year, and I probably get maybe 2 requests a month. It's not really a lot, but it is ongoing so that they can request books and loot whenever they want to. And I've had several repeat customers.
Well, maybe after seeing this program and hearing about it, maybe you will have your numbers go up, and that would be great. All right, mm-hmm. Danielle, thank you very much. Thank you for everything you do for the children and the youth at Penn Wynne Library. And you may get
thank you so much.
So, thanks for being on. Stay tuned. We'll be back with The Library Show. Welcome back to The Library Show. This is the adult portion. And this came about because I was talking to one of our librarians at another library, and she said she works with Ruth Berman. Ruth is the facilitator for a monthly book club at Ardmore Library. And I was really thrilled that one of our libraries, at least, does a regular book club. Ruth, welcome to The Library Show.
Hello.
Now, I'm very curious about what to me is one of the core issues of book clubs. And that is, how do you pick the books? I saw that you've got your books picked through March. So you're really thinking ahead. Does everybody in the group come up with suggestions? Do you make suggestions? How does that work?
All right, let me give you a little history of this book club.
Okay.
Which will explain it completely. We started this book club with the head librarian at the time, Peggy Newman, in April 2003. So we've been around for almost 20 years.
Wow.
We started it and this was my idea, and I call myself a facilitator, not a leader, because I'm there to do what the book club members want.
Okay.
And that's how this book club was set up from the beginning. We started with 12, and in April, we picked a book because to start, we had to have a book. Peggy picked it. But at the very first meeting, I said to everybody, this book club is your book club. You have to run it. You are going to pick the books, and you are going to discuss it. I'm going to help by sending out all the information each month. But this is your book club, and you run it. And that's how this book club is.
Okay. Okay, how many people do you have now?
Well, right now we have 36 on the roster.
Wow.
With COVID, we only had about 10 to 12 on Zoom. And since we've been in person again, we only have about 10 to 12 coming back. But pre-COVID, we had as many as 22 and 24 and 26. And if you want me to keep talking, I'm going to tell you a little story about
By all means. Tell us a story, please.
When we were a young book club, we were 12, and more people wanted to come. I asked the book club what they'd like to do, and they decided we would have a waiting list, because 12 is an optimum number for a group, according to group theory.
Well, my book club is 12, so yeah.
But the waiting list didn't work, because by the time somebody left, people had lost interest, 3, 4, 5 months later. So then the group decided, okay, we'll see what happens if we get too big, and we'll divide into 2 groups to talk. And we just opened up, and we grew to about 30. And when our groups became that big, we discovered something that group theory didn't allow for. But when you have the right group and they are enthusiastic, what happens, instead of discussing the book for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, you just extend the time for everybody to have the turn. And we've had very good discussions with 26 people.
Wow, that's terrific. I'm going to ask you to cast back your memory. I don't know if you can remember almost 20 years, 19 years of this. Was there one book that stood out as the most popular or that got the most discussion going?
Oh, I can tell you which book it was.
Okay.
And it's a recent book, and it was a choice, the Lower Merion choice, and it was the book, The Underground Railroad by
Colson Whitehead's book.
That discussion went more than an hour and a half.
That was a fabulous book, I have to say. And he was a terrific speaker. He came and spoke in the township building. Super popular. Sorry to get off topic, but One Book, One Lower Merion is kind of my baby. And not only did I have the fun task of picking him up at 30th Street Station, so I got a half hour just to talk to him, but he was so appealing to the audience. And people were so interested. We had overflow in the lobby of the township building. Not everybody fit in the boardroom. So that was memorable to me. That was pretty terrific. And plus, I'm sorry to go off, but I do love books. That was a book that worked on so many levels. There was so much to discuss about it. Among the things that I thought were so unusual were his purposeful anachronisms, because he had things in there that didn't make sense in terms of the time of the book, and yet he did it purposely to create a feeling in his readers. Anyway, but I can understand why that was a really popular one. I won't go so long on that. Do people have to sign up to be part of the group?
Yes, they do have to sign up, though we have had walk-ins and we welcome them.
Okay.
It's very easy to join the group. You can join the group at the library, any one of the libraries, but at Ardmore Library. And the information is about the group is on the Lower Merion website. Ardmore Library also has the information about it. My telephone number, my email, my 2 telephone numbers and my email are there available to sign up. Anybody who signs up is welcome. Because we no longer are closed to any new members. We're open to all new members. The obligation is to come when you like the book and when you want to. We have no attendance rules and regulations.
Okay. I will say that I think it's very smart to have this in the processing center, which is the building immediately behind Ardmore Library, because that's a room that if the tables are set up properly with everybody sitting around the tables, you can fit 30 people. It's not an issue.
Yes, it's an excellent facility.
Yeah, because book clubs that are in people's homes are limited by the amount of space they have in their living rooms and the amount of chairs they have. But at the processing center, you don't have those kinds of limitations. I see that you mentioned the One Book, One Lower Merion book. October was a time when we did the book by Kareem Rosser, Crossing the Line, and you're doing that as your book in November, which is marvelous.
What happened with this is the book club has been around for almost 20 years, so it has developed traditions.
Okay.
One of our traditions is, as I told you, the membership picks the books.
Right.
One of our traditions is the membership picks 1 or 2 classics a year. Another tradition is that for Christmas we read a beach book, an easy to read book.
That's great. I like that.
Right, because you're reading it in November, holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you're busy. Another tradition has been to read the Lower Merion, one Lower Merion, with as it's chosen, and it's always been for November.
Yes.
This year we wanted to do it for October, but it wasn't chosen in time.
We had a little delay there, so
we stayed with our November tradition, which is after instead of before.
Well, it may be that when you discuss it in November, some of the people who come to your book club will have heard Kareem Rosser on October 23rd, and they will bring that. And maybe some of those people might also have been at Bev Rosen's book discussion on October 16th. So that's kind of a nice thing. They can bring all that to your discussion. I like the idea of turning expectations on their head by doing a beach read for Christmas. That's marvelous.
And Lenore, you mentioned before about how that we have books chosen all the way to.
Yes.
Well, because everybody is choosing the books, and some people are very enthusiastic about the book that they read, they want to share. Our members do that. And if anybody comes and say, and the membership agrees, we just add the book. And
I have to say, I usually think I'm fairly up on books, but you have several books here that I don't know. I don't know the authors. I don't know the titles. I do know Emma Donohue's name because she did The Room. Also, wasn't that the person in the room with her child? And this one is called The Pull of the Stars, which is not what I'm familiar with. So I think that's a plus.
That at all either.
Yeah, so people know the lesser known books, which is an absolutely marvelous thing. I was talking to a friend of mine a few years ago who had a very busy career as a psychologist, and she retired. And she said, gee, I don't know what to do. I said, join a book club. I did. So she joined my book club. She joined a book club at a bookstore in the area. And maybe the people out there who retired might like to join this book club, the Ardmore Library Book Club. And it's a great thing because it sounds fluid, which is a very nice thing. People go in and out depending on what they like, what they don't like, and you're doing a great job as facilitator.
Well, no, it's not me. I mean, I'm doing an okay job, but it's the people itself. One of the extraordinary things, and that's why we have so many people there on the list, is because everybody brings their friends. Some people bring their husbands. By the way, we are adults, but we're all female, but we have a couple males.
Husbands are the exception.
They don't always come back because we're too many females. But it's open to we're open to every adult. I'm very enthusiastic about this book club. The discussions are extraordinary. I do a 30 seconds, 1 minute bio on the author, straight from the computer, and then I turn it over. And all I have to do is make sure that everybody gets a turn to talk. That's what I sit there and do. Make eye contact, or sometimes use a finger, pointing, to make sure that everybody gets a turn to talk. But it's an extraordinary group of women.
I have found that we've had some very lively discussions, even when it was a book that most of the people did not like.
They're the best discussions.
Best discussions. Well, I look forward to more discussions and to hearing great things, Ruth, about it. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining us for the Library Show, finding out what we can give thanks for in the Lower Merion Library System this November. Bye-bye. See you next month.